Hi, Upper Valley. Welcome to another episode of A Closer Look. I'm Donna Giroux, the Executive Director over at CATV, and with me today is Jeff Backus, who is the House Director at the Dismas House in Hartford, Vermont. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Cool. We're so worried about everyone during this pandemic period, and I know the Dismas House has got this wonderful mission that would get affected by the pandemic. So can you first tell the audience about your mission and what it is that you do?
Sure. What we do here at Hartford Dismas House is we take those who are incarcerated and eligible for release, but don't have a place to go necessarily, and we bring them here and we give them this transitional period to reestablish their lives after incarceration and reintegrate back in the community. And we rely a lot on that community factor where we have volunteers come in, they provide meals for us and sit down and eat with us. That's the cornerstone of our whole operation. And then we do a lot within the house. We volunteer as a group. I take them on social outings. We go camping twice a year. And then we just have our regular day-to-day thing. The minimum stay here is 3 months. The maximum stay is 2 years, which is really uncommon amongst sober living houses. We're not rehab, but if you look at like the models for like rehab housing, they have a month, 60 days to transition. And here we try not to rush it. We try to slowly integrate. And when you're comfortable, you can move on.
Well, I know that it must be a huge issue for somebody who's coming out of incarceration, that poverty is an issue and being overwhelmed by the way society has changed since whenever they've been incarcerated. So it's great that you're giving them some time, but I imagine there must be a shortage of housing overall. And so how do you strike that balance? You know, these people are not going to get rich overnight and be able to find a place to live. How do they get to that next level of housing? Is state help?
They can apply through programs, like Twin Pines housing. A lot of them, it's required that they work while they live here, and then they save. We request a modest weekly program fees, we call it. It's $85 a week to live here. All utilities are included, food's provided, and just kind of get them acclimated to having to pay to live somewhere. And then because it's so low, they're able to save. And we do like weekly check-ins on how much you've saved, how you're doing, what can we do that next step. I help find apartments. And another thing is it's hard for somebody leaving incarceration to gain employment typically. So because they live here and the reputation we've built here, there's a lot of area employers in the Upper Valley that recognize, oh, he's at Dismas, and we'll give him a chance. I mean, Dan Witz is the best example. He's hired so many of our guys over here, and it's just been an incredible help. And that's just the spirit of the whole Upper Valley, really. This is like the ideal location to have a house like this.
Yeah, seriously, because if it isn't for the spirit, it would be brutal. Trying to come out of incarceration. I know I had volunteered for 3 years in a program where we go into a prison, and the program helped reduce recidivism, the return. People go out into the community and then they're distressed by being all those decisions they have to make and all the financial worry, and they might be recovering from something. They might have disabilities. They might be definitely struggling with poverty is a huge issue. So I'd be interested in finding out some more of the organizations that are helping you beside Dean and Witt, because kudos to them.
Area employers, there's a lot. The Time restaurant's been wonderful to us. A lot of the restaurants here in White River, the hotels have been wonderful. I have somebody employed at Swish down the road that distributes like cleaning supplies to the area. Wicked Awesome Barbecue has been a recent employer that really likes our guys.
How do they get there? Transportation is always an issue, right?
Oh, in the summer, a lot of them ride bikes, to be honest. In the winter, they'll take the advanced transit, the the buses around town Monday through Friday.
Thank
Yeah.
God for that. So, so if somebody wanted to volunteer to donate a bike to you, would that be something that you'd be interested in?
Yes, absolutely. We maintain a pretty solid fleet of bikes here, and occasionally I'll let them take the bike with them when they move out because they typically still don't have a vehicle. So it's just one more step in the right direction. Absolutely.
So how do we, I guess the question is, how do we help reincorporate people into the bosom of society? Because I know that when I did my volunteering, that terrible sense of alienation people who are incarcerated feel like they're not, and inferiority, that society's not going to accept them back. And, there's that little box on the employment form where it says, have you ever been arrested? And that's brutal on some people. So, so what can we do? What can we do to help Dismas House?
Well, as part of, breaking down that stigma, a big part of it happens at our dinners. I mean, volunteer to cook or could just come sit down and eat with us, and it's the conversations around the table. It's incredible. And everybody just gets to know each other, and we build these community connections. I've had residents that are artists, and they met up with just the right person at these dinners, and they had their art displayed at a gallery, and just things like that. And we make these community connections, and our board and our council members are just incredible here and helping not only me run the house, but these guys move forward with their lives.
So how can we do that? I mean, it's got to be hard communal living, because how many do you have? Like about 9 or 10?
We hover around 10 most of the time. Yeah. Right.
So it's communal living. So they might still need to work, right? And the masks and the, possibly infecting each other. So for a volunteer to come in, is that okay if they stay masked?
Currently, no. We're following a protocol that's for the entire organization. We don't have any visitors coming in the interest of keeping everybody healthy here. It's a very strict protocol. We clean 2-3 times a day, sanitize all the door handles. It smells like a pool in here.
That's good.
But it's worked. It's worked so far. Nobody's gotten sick here.
Good. Knock wood. Knock wood.
And that's been the challenge going through this. That we're losing the community aspect that we rely on so much. And now it's mostly an internal community thing that we have to focus on. I can feel the difference. It's the guys are just, it's not what it usually is. And I'm doing my best. We do activities. We had a volunteer donate some clay sculptures or clay materials so we can do sculptures. And we have had our own impromptu spring cleanup day where we all pitch in. I'm trying to do things as a group, but this is a very difficult time to be doing this.
Do you have a couple of iPads you can set up and have people pretend to eat dinner with you guys?
We had that idea. We do have the laptops, and the consensus was that feels a little awkward. Instead, what we've turned to is after every meal, we rotate taking turns writing sincere, nice thank you cards to the volunteers. So we have at least a minimal interaction saying we appreciate what you're doing for us.
So a couple of letters. It's funny, the Senior Solutions Vermont, I interviewed them, and they said, man, if you could just write some open letters to seniors in the senior centers, it warms their heart. And I don't know, if we wrote letters to you guys, would that be appreciated, or would it be?
I think it would be, because when volunteers drop off the food, I have guys here that have never been present for our community dinners now because they're new, and they're blown away in how much everybody just wants to help us. Like the volunteers, through our social distance say, we really miss you guys, and they want to talk to us and see what's going on, and they're blown away just by that little bit, a little taste of what we're about. So yeah, absolutely, why not?
That sounds great. So is there anything you wanted to share? I know that the transition is overwhelming, and I know that your volunteers are an important part of your mission. Is there anything that the community can do other than, so they're delivering, is it Meals on Wheels delivering food, or the
Our
Haven?
volunteer base is still, they're just not staying to eat, but they're dropping off food on our porch and like 5 days a week. It's been incredible. We've had an incredible response from the Upper Valley through this COVID thing. And yeah, I couldn't be happier. I mean, the best of a bad situation, really.
And are any of the guys, do they have to work right now? I mean,
Yep, I've had a couple stay employed throughout. One works at Swish, like I mentioned. One does some construction on the hotel buildings. And now they're all starting to return back to work because the restaurants are opening back up. That's our biggest employer. So I think almost everybody's employed again. Starting next week, everybody will be working, which will be a huge help for everybody. Just imagine being stuck in this house with 8 other guys just getting stir crazy.
Right. I was thinking it must be hard for them. You come out of incarceration to an incarceration. It's just, it's got to be tough.
Right.
It's not exactly the same. I appreciate that, but it's not exactly like you can complete your mission. The idea is to re-embrace them into the community.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, we don't want anyone ending up in jail again. So I was curious, has there been a lot of flux of trying to push prisoners out of the prisons because of the unsafe environment that a prison can create?
Initially, yes. When this first started, there was a huge push to get everybody out and make beds available if we can. And we did. We accommodated, we met the need. And now it's starting to back off a little bit. I think they got almost everybody eligible out of the facilities, which is good.
Great. Yeah. And do you get both men and women, or is it
historically this was co-ed up till maybe a year ago. We had, and it was great. I liked it a lot. And then through the referral system, Department of Corrections decided that there's enough other options for female offenders, so we're going to stop referring females to Dismas. It's not that we stop accepting females, but we just don't get them sent in our direction anymore. I mean, I think in the future we could go back in that direction, but currently it's just men.
Well, that makes it interesting.
Yeah.
All male. So there's so do you come and go, or are you living in the house with them?
No, I come and go. I live in Sharon, and I'm here just during normal business hours. I have a couple residents. I appointed resident assistants, RAs, who serve as my eyes and ears when I'm away from the house. And if I need to know what's going on, I'm calling you. Let me know what the problem is.
That's good. Keep them busy.
Yeah, and sense of responsibility too. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's great. Something to put on the resume, right?
Right.
So is there anything in particular that you think, whether it's COVID related or just in general, that the community would benefit knowing about Dismas House that we haven't talked about?
As far as COVID, the biggest hit we've taken is the loss of community aspect. And then the second biggest hit is we've had to cancel our major fundraiser event that's typically every April. And it's how we sustain ourselves pretty much all year long. So we're doing the best we can. The Upper Valley community has been wonderful. We've been getting an influx of donations, which I appreciate, that we can try to make up the difference lost by this event. There's been an increase in spending, unbudgeted expenses like groceries and cleaning supplies and such, the personal protective equipment. And initially, a lot of these guys couldn't get jobs at all. I mean, a lot of people are unemployed right now when they first got out, so we weren't getting that program fee money coming in either. So it was just financially, it was a little bit of a struggle, but we're getting through it.
Good. But if somebody wanted to donate, they'd go onto your website. What's the website address?
Yep, they can go to the overall website is dismasofvt.org, and you can find the local houses, and you can find Hartford and donate that way, or you can donate directly to the house by just mailing a check to our P.O. Box, P.O. Box 174, Hartford.
We love money. Yes, I love when we get an unsolicited
Yeah,
donation. I'm like, oh my God, is this a donation?
yeah. Well, it
It's
costs
a good
money
thing.
to sustain this place.
Yeah. Yeah, well, all the personal protection gear is becoming more and more expensive. So the
Oh
prospect,
yeah.
one of the reasons why we decided not to open in May, but in June, I'm trying to gather those materials that you need to keep everybody safe. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us. And, you know, the whole goal is to not have people uh, repeat offend and end up in prison again. And we understand that the alienation of coming back into the community is very real. And so embracing people, not physically, but embracing people
Right.
emotionally would be very helpful, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm greedy. I don't only want to keep them going back to deal. I want long-term success, and I like keeping in touch with my former residents that are still out and about that left me 3 years ago. They still pop by and visit or give me a call, and it's wonderful. It's a great thing.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. I really appreciate you doing that. So thank you. So for the members of the community who don't know about Dismas House, please feel free to go onto their website. They're a great organization. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye-bye.